Okay, when it comes to the methodology, so we get ready for the answer the research questions, the research objectives. So there. So we have to go back to what we have discussed under the research design main area. So when it comes to the whole research process, now we are in the chapter 3. So in the management research process, we discussed that under the scientific research design. So then we'll go through. So what is this scientific research design? So in the chapter 3 methodology, so you are going to plan, right? So how we are going to answer those? Now in the chapter 2, so literature review, it broadly or to deeply, you have discussed the key components, key concept in your research model. So there you have used a theoretical framework or some theories. So in the chapter 1, you have research objectives, research questions. To answer that, so you did some exploration. So there you gone through a literature. Under the literature review, so finally, so you get the support, some theory. So without getting support, a theory or theories, you cannot answer your research questions, research objectives. So through the theory, you are trying to develop some kind of argument, right? So theories, you try to develop some argument. So the theoretical framework explain that. So then next is, so your design. Now you have a research problem, you have research questions, so you have a research objectives to answer. So you collect data, you gather data, so then you analyze data. So then you can come to a solution. So they are basically in the chapter 3, we discuss the study design or research design. So that is very important in answering your research problem, research questions, research objectives. How we are going to do that? So it's a master plan of your research. So think about, now you want to build a house. Give me a second. So research design is a master plan of the research. So I have taken an example that you want to build up a house. So what is the design? How many floors? How many rooms? The kitchen. So there are many things to be planned. So we call a master plan of the house. So you get the support of architecture or architectural engineer. You develop a plan. So likewise, so you are the architecture of your research. Now you have a problem, a broader problem area. You narrow down it to research questions. Now you have research problems. So now to answer that, so you have to have a plan. So this is what we call study design, research design. So it's a framework for action. And so your research design specifies the methods and procedures for the research, how you are going to collect the data, how we are going to analyze the data, etc. The methods and procedures. So basically, so research design is a blueprint. Your master plan is a plan, is a guide, is a framework. So this is very important. So then you can understand that your research design, the chapter 3, the methodology part is a very important. It's a blueprint, it's a plan, it's a guide, it's a framework that gives you a direction how we are going to do that, how we are going to collect the data, how we are going to analyze the data, how we are going to test the hypothesis, etc. Or what kind of data analysis technique, the sampling, etc. Okay, so if I define that, so research design is a blueprint for the collection, measurement, and analysis of data based on the research questions of the study. So basically, it's a plan, it's a guide, it's a blueprint. So how we are going to collect the data, how we are going to measure data, how we are going to analyze the data to answer your research questions. So then discover your methodology part. Okay, so when it comes to the research design, so there are several questions you have to answer. There are several issues involved in the research design, right? So number one is the issues relating to the purpose of the study. So why do you conduct this study? So you have to mention purpose of the study. It's an exploratory study, it's a descriptive, or it's a hypothesis testing study. Number two is the location, the study setting, where you are going to conduct your research. So we have to explain in the methodology. Then the type, it should confirm type of investigation and the extent to which it is manipulated and controlled by the researcher. So, or the amount of the extent of the researcher interference, researcher. Its temporal aspect, the time horizons, especially in the data collection, how we are going to do that. At once, are you going to have, or in several time period, temporal aspect. So then the level at which data will be analyzed, the unit of analysis, right? Unit of analysis. So then, so these are the basic issues in designing a research. So you have to answer this. You have to answer this, right? Okay, so then, so I think now you have something in your mind. So then we'll see this diagram. So this discuss your study design, the research design. So now there is a problem to be solved. So then the research questions. So you narrow down problem into the manageable area. Then objectives. So basically, so in the research design, so you have to cover these areas. So purpose of the study we have discussed. So exploration, descriptive or hypothesis testing, the type of investigation, so causal relationship or correlational or group difference, or the researcher interference, involvement is a minimal, the study setting, contribute, non-contribute. So there's a measurement and measures, the operational definitions, etc. The unit of analysis. So what is unit of analysis? Individual or duets or groups or associations. So then sample design. So what is sampling design? Probability, non-probability. So there, what's the sampling method under the probability? So if you have probability sampling, so what is the particular sampling method? Then time horizon, cross-sectional or longitudinal, then data collection method. So are you going to observation method, interview method, questionnaire? So basically, so in the research design under the chapter 3 methodology, so we have to get these inputs and so you have to prepare that. So when it comes to the purpose of the study, so in the first, so we say, so what's the purpose of your study? So we have to explain it. So why you going to have this? So there are basically 3 types: exploratory studies, descriptive study, causal study, right? So then, so you have to explain in your methodology part. It's exploratory, descriptive, or causal. So what is mean by the exploratory study? Explore. You want to explore the issue. So you are going to conduct your study. So the particular study is not much known. The particular issue problem is not known at the hand. No information is available. Oh, how similar problems or research have been conducted. So there are no much information, no research. So then, in this kind of cases, so you have to do extensive preliminary works are required, because to understand, to assess the magnitude of the problem, severity of the problem, or to get the familiarization, awareness with the phenomena in the situation. So then, so you do explorative, explorative study. So then in the methodology, so you have to clearly mention what is your purpose of the study. It's an exploratory study or descriptive. Vistara. The first one, exploration. This is description, you explain. The objective of descriptive study is to describe. You describe, vistara karna. The descriptive studies are designed to collect data that describe the characteristic of the person, events, or situation. So descriptive study, explain. So when we do our theoretical lectures, I said that the Professor Nandasen Ratnapala did several studies, like the prisoners, beggars in Sri Lanka, Lankawe, Hingano, the prostitutes in Sri Lanka, Ganika, so then Melodima Paladena Karme. So he take a case and he explained, he described, descriptive study, right? So then you have to explain, is your descriptive study, right? Descriptive as an example to examine how managers resolve conflict in the organization, description or gender compositions, age grouping, number of semesters, so etc. Right? The next one is the causal study, causality. So causal studies are at the heart of the scientific approach. So such studies test whether or not variable causes another. So now heavy rain. If there are heavy rains, what will happen? There may be flood. Rivers will be flooded. Causality. වැස්සොත් මේ සියල්ලම ගම්බෙන් යට වේවි. හයියෙන් දිගටම continuously වැස්සොත් න්‍යාය යන්නේ නැති වේවි. මිනිස්සුන් මිය යාවි. So causality. The cause the X is the rain. So then the Y is the outcome, right? So in a causal study, researcher interested in delineating one or more factors. So in other words, the intention of the researcher conducting causal study is to be able to state the variable X causes variable Y. If you work hard, now the A-level result is out, right? So the more the student worked, he gets 3 A's, right? So X causes to variable Y. So we call causality, right? So these are the 3 types. So you have to mention purpose of your study. It is exploratory, right? So you have to explain this is exploratory or descriptive or causal study. Causal study. So then the second, so what is the type of investigation? So you have to explain. So it's a clarification, clear understanding of the concept. The concept you are going to use, independent variables, dependent variable. So related exploratory descriptive study. So type of investigation is a correlational, at least 2 concept or variable simultaneously correlational. So one happen X, so that affect to Y. Or causal, one concept variable cause movement. So likewise, so type. Then the researcher interference. Researcher interference. So extent of the interference by the researcher will be minimal if the study conducted in natural setting. Researcher inference, obey researcher ke මැදිහත් වීම. To what extent are you involved? Correlational studies mostly conducted in natural setting, correlational. So if a researcher wants to analyze the factors influencing training effectiveness, right? So your involvement is very minimal. So in studies conducted studies cause and effect relationship, the researcher tries to manipulate certain variables. So you manipulate. So especially researcher wants to try the influence of lighting on workers' performance. Hawthorne experiment. So then there what you do? You reduce and speed the light. So their researcher interfere. It's in the lab situation, right? So then what is your research? So what is your interference? So you have to explain. Then study setting, there are 2 non-contrived setting and contrived. So non-contrived setting when research conducted in the natural environment, where work proceed normally, non-contrived situation, right? So the researcher conduct the research in a natural environment. The contrived setting is the research conducted in an artificial environment, right? So causal studies are conducted in the contrived setting, in a lab experiment, right? We call contrived. So then you have to mention the study setting, non-contrived or contrived setting, right? So then the time horizon. So study can be undertaken which the data are gathered just once, or you take several weeks, several years, several days. Time horizons. So how we are going to collect the data? Are you going to just once, a particular day, particular time, or several occasions? So based on the time horizon, so there are 2 types of studies. One is a cross-sectional study. Cross-section එකක් ගන්නවා. Cross-sectional studies. So what is cross-sectional study? Study in which data is statistically significant sample of population. You gathered in a one point of time. So you interview, you distribute a questionnaire, right? And you collect immediately. Cross-section. It provides snapshot of the current conditions. Okay? Snapshot. A මොහොතේ තියෙන තත්ත්වය පිළිබඳව ඔබට අදහසක්. But does not explain cause and effect. So like cross-sectional studies include surveys, especially the survey, right? Your research survey is a cross-sectional one. See, so in the particular the research. So there are group 1, group 2, group 3, right? Say, if you look at the characteristic, the group 1, the age 20 to 35, the group 2, 36 to 50, and group 3, 51 to 65. So 3 groups. So you distribute a questionnaire, you collect the data, compared at one time, right? So other one is the longitudinal research, longitudinal. Can you hear me? Hello? Hello? Can you hear me? Hello?
Hello, sir. We can hear.
You can hear, no? Okay. So, two types of so we are discussing the time horizon. So in collecting data, so there are two types, cross-sectional study and the longitudinal. So in the longitudinal study, so what you do? So the particular, regarding the particular research questions, right? So you collect the data not at once, in several time frame. In several time frame, you collect data. So assume that, regarding a particular, say, it's a child development research. So you study the child's, the learning skill, development of the learning skill, growth of the learning skill. So they are, so at the age of 4, age 7, age 11, in different time period, you collect data. So study of the development of memory over time. So then there you see the memory capacity at the age 4, age 7, age 11, right? So this is called the longitudinal, in the passage of time. A passage of time, you collect data, we call longitudinal. So in this, that under the time horizon, so in your research, so you have to say it is a longitudinal study or cross-sectional study, right? So then, so in your research design, you have to answer the unit of analysis. Unit of analysis, right? The unit of analysis is the major entity that is being analyzed of the study. So what is your unit of analysis? So from whom? So you are going to collect the data. So it is the what or whom that is being studied. Unit of analysis. විශ්ලේෂණ ඒකකය. So especially in the social science researchers, so basically the unit of analysis is the individual of people. Individual of people. So then, so individual of people the same time, so there may be other set of analysis unit like groups, social organization, or social artifacts, events, do it. So likewise, so in the research design, so you have to explain what is your unit of analysis. So we have discussed all those, the unit of analysis, right? Okay, so then so now, so you have basic understanding, you have a basic idea about this research design. So basically, it's a blueprint, it's a master plan, it's a framework, it's a guide, right? So there. So basically, in the research design, so we have to answer this: the purpose of the study, location of the study, the type of study, is it manipulated or controlled by the researcher, and the time horizons and the unit of analysis. So this cover your research design, right? Research design. So then, so in here, so it is very important aspect, right? So your sample design, then your data collection method. So you have to mention clearly and deeply what is your sample design and what is your data collection method, right? So then, so we'll discuss a little bit about later in this area. So then we'll move into, so to see the main aspect, So give me a second. Can you see the chapter 3 methodology new slide?
Yes, sir, we can see.
Okay. So now we'll discuss this a little bit. Now, once again, now this is the methodology chapter 3. So introduction, study design, population, sample, sampling technique, conceptual, so on, right? So then, so introduction. So now when you write the chapter 3, so 3.1 is the introduction, right? So they are basic introductory chapter. So you have to develop here. It's a very simple, right? So I have given something here. So this chapter explain, or this chapter presents various methodologies that were used in gathering data, analyzing which are relevant to the research. So, right. So you can write something like that, some introduction. So what you are going to do this in the chapter introduction. So that chapter presents different types of methodologies that you are going to collect the data, analyze the data into the particular related research. The methodologies will include areas such as location of the study, the research design, sampling, sample size, types of data, data collection method, and data analysis. So earlier under the research design, we have discussed several aspects. But at this level, at the undergraduate level, so we are not going to include all, right? So we are not going to include all, but there are several very important. So I have included some of these, right? So then, so in the chapter 3, the 3.1 is introduction, introductory remarks, introduction to the chapter. So you have to cover what we are going to do in this chapter 3, right? That's the introduction. Then we are coming to the 3.2. That is the study design. Study design. So you can explain something, right? I stated here, right? Say, Pollitt and Hungler describe the research design as a blueprint or outline for conducting the study in such a way that maximum control will be exercised over factors that could interfere with the validity of the research result. So then, so you are going to give some introduction, some definition. So what is research design? So you can quote several researchers as you wish, right? I have quote Pollitt and Hungler, right? So then the research design is the researcher's overall plan for obtaining answers to the research questions guiding the study, right? So I clearly mentioned the research design is, so now we are going to answer the research questions. So how we are going to answer the questions? So that is the way, there's a plan, right? It's an overall plan. So then you have to explain something about what is study design, right? So Burns and Grove, 2001, state that designing a study helps Researchers should plan and implement the study in a way that will help them obtain intended results, thus